Welcome to Web Manga. I am Agent Manga, and I'm just going to be talking about gods that might show up in Record of Ragnarok since Buddha switched sides. This might be just a short video, but I definitely want to get out the gods I definitely want to see in this tournament. Let's get started with the one that first came to mind. My favorite god in all of mythology, Hades. My man. And I was pretty pissed off that Hades wasn't in the original list, because you got Zeus, Poseidon, Hercules, those all make sense. Apollo. It's just randomly Apollo. Like, I don't know much about I know a few things about Apollo, like he was bad with women, and that Hermes stole cattle from him, and that he's very close friends with Hermes. But I don't know that much about him. It just felt weird, Apollo just being there. My personal thought was that Apollo may have been maybe killed off screen. Then maybe my boy Hades should show in. And plus, if they take the mythology route, I'm fine with just Hades just being like, nah, I'm choosing not to be in the tournament because I have a job to do. I'd be fine with that, but nah, I just hope Record of Ragnarok doesn't go around I'm the devil, I'm the devil. When Hades is not the devil, he is just a guy doing a job. He got the short end of the stick, he got the underworld, but he deals with it. And plus he has a pretty nice wife. And he's a good guy. Compared to his two brothers, he is the nice one in the group. And he is literally the person who has done the less creepy stuff. So, Hades is definitely my top one who should show up, but I think is the least likely out of the ones I'm going to mention. Next one, Sun Wukong. I think Sun Wukong is definitely a contender for this, could go in, because my thought is maybe Sun Wukong shows up and fights against Buddha because they have like a relationship in mythology. I watched oversimplified thing about the journey to the west and how Sun Wukong basically got trapped under a mountain by Buddha after becoming 3 times immortal, I think he was. Which, respect. 3 times immortal. And let's see. Sun Wukong, I definitely see versing Buddha because he has like his polearm weapon, and Buddha seems to have a polearm weapon. That's my thoughts of what possibly could happen. I don't know who, I'm fine with him not fighting Buddha. It's just like a theory I had, like, ooh, maybe Sun Wukong wants revenge and maybe he goes up against Buddha. But most likely it's either going to be Bishamonten or Loki versing Buddha, or maybe a human fighter, which I would hate because I prefer a god versus a god fight. Like, all it's been is humans versus gods in this tournament. I'd be fine with a god versus a god. That is really hype. And also, it kind of ruins all the things that it flips on its head and how all it changes. So I know it's Loki or Bishamonten, and I think it's most likely going to be Bishamonten. I hope it's not a human, and also Sun Wukong is the one who I think. And let's see. Who's next? Quetzalcoatl. I think that's how you say its name. He's a sun god from Aztec mythology, and he's like the sun god. And I don't know much about Quetzalcoatl, but I know that I really like Quetzalcoatl because he's kind of like a feathered sun god serpent. I would love to see like a different shape of god, like more beastly looking god, like a scaled god with wings. Or you could go like the Fate route and make it like a human with a bunch of, I don't know that type of area, like Brazilian, Aztec outfit. I'd be fine with that. Quetzalcoatl is just a god that I like to see, because I like Quetzalcoatl and Fate, and it seems like, I just feel like, yeah, he destroyed all of existence and then recreated. Kind of like Shiva, which makes him a little bit further down on my list, most likely to show up. But and plus, we already have like a sun god, which is Apollo, which also kind of cuts out the god I'm about to get to next, which is Ra, which is another sun god, but is in fact the leader of the Egyptian gods. Although you could definitely say Osiris, like, which is another guy I'm gonna mention. Like, Ra is definitely like one of the most famous gods in Egyptian mythology. Like him, or maybe Bask. I could definitely see Bass in there, but she's not really on the list. If like Athena didn't show up, I don't think Bass is going to count, because Athena is way more popular. And she's also on my list as well. She's definitely possible. But like, Ra is one of the most well-known gods, and if Yu-Gi-Oh! The Winged Dragon of Ra, I think that's the only god card that's actually based on an Egyptian god. I might be talking out of my ass, but I think Obelisk, I don't think he's named after a god, or Slifer. I might be wrong. I might be just talking out of my ass, but I'm just mentioning that. Ra is definitely one of the most famous Egyptian gods, and I'd definitely be fine replacing one of the fighters. Let's see, Athena. Athena is definitely a character who I feel like just got shafted. Like, if not Hades, I'd be definitely fine with Athena replacing him. Because like, Athena is always shown to be a badass in mythology. She's wise, she's analytical. Like, we could definitely have like a multiple D chest tournament. I mean, multiple D chest fight, like against a really smart fighter. Maybe like, if Beelzebub wasn't on the list, I'd probably have her facing Nikola Tesla. But no, I'm keeping Nikola Tesla versus Beelzebub, because I don't know why, I like that idea. Like, they're both the most odd ones out in the tournament. Like, I might also I'm definitely bringing up Lucifer maybe showing up. Although, I think it's kind of a stretch even showing Beelzebub, because we haven't really gotten any mentions of Christian mythology or Islam mythology. Is it any Abrahamic mythology? That's the one I'm looking for. Abrahamic mythology. And I'm fine with no Abrahamic, but we definitely have Beelzebub, which is definitely from that sect of religions. And I definitely feel like those guys are definitely less likely to show up, but unless Lucifer's that stupid snake, which I'll hate. Getting back to Athena. Athena is definitely a smart person and is the goddess of wisdom and tactics and all that. She would definitely know how to take on an analytical fighter. It would be like setting up attacks. I would love that fight. Like, it could be like another Jack versus Heracles fight, but both sides are very analytical, thinking every single move ahead, like thinking 5 moves ahead. And I would love to see that fight. I love Jack versus Heracles. I loved it, but I would definitely like a fight against 2 geniuses. Now, let's see. Who else is there? I don't know, but I think maybe more Japanese gods. Like, Bishamonten is one of the 4 heavenly kings, which I didn't find out until recently. The 4 heavenly kings could definitely show up. Wait, there was another god. Oh, Osiris, I forgot about him. Osiris is kind of like the god of the dead, and he got betrayed by his brother Seth after taking over from Ra. I definitely think of Osiris as maybe like a definitely powerful opponent. He's really famous. He's like the top god. Besides Ra, he's the top god, which I definitely feel could be a good, neat top. Let me try that again. It could definitely be a neat concept having 2 gods of death from the same mythology. Like, maybe Anubis gets attacked and maybe Osiris takes his place. Or like Ganesh. Like Ganesh, I definitely feel like he could be a good fighter because he's the remover of obstacles, but he seems like a child, so I don't think he's going to be in the tournament. I thought he was a little bit older, but he seems like a child. Ganesh, out of the way. And Osiris is a fighter that I would like to see, like maybe what style of fighting. We might get a way of Egyptian fight. Maybe Osiris shows up in Anubis' fight and maybe Ra as well. Because we did kind of get that with Shiva showing up. And let's see, who else? This might be controversial, but But what if the god that replaces Buddha is Cthulhu? Like, it doesn't have to be just like from straight up mythology. You could have Cthulhu in this. Like, I'd love Cthulhu to just be like, I'm here. Let's fight. Like, oh, I'd love to see that. Like, I don't know, like, he's like the least likely, I think, is gonna show up and to replace Buddha, but he's definitely on my list. I think that he would be an interesting concept to add to this. Like, most people think that Cthulhu is not real, but like that, I don't think there's any religions. I could be talking way out of my ass there, but Cthulhu, I definitely feel could show up and be a badass. Like, mind warping, I'd be fine with him showing up. There is no real science that he exists, but I'd be fine with that. Cthulhu I would love to just be like mentally twisting, like talking in his opponent's head. Or maybe he just shows up as like, maybe later in the series to be like, hey, I'm Cthulhu. And maybe he might be betraying the other gods, like with a few other gods that are maybe in the tournament. I definitely feel like I would love for him to show up and just fight. Or maybe just like manipulate. Maybe like he's pulling strings behind the scenes and he's just like, shows up every once in a while, like he shows up at the end of this fight and is like, that's very interesting. And he's very sketchy and he's just like, I'm planning something. Like, he's planning something, but you always have to keep your eye on him. And I think those are all the guys I have on my list that I think should show up in this tournament, that should be replaced, that could replace Buddha on the god side. And also, I'm gonna mention on who I think, well, I don't remember those on the list who I think should be replaced, but it's not my boy Nikola Tesla. My boy Nikola Tesla must stay. Maybe get rid of one of the Japanese guys, because it seems like there's a lot of Japanese guys. Maybe keep that kid out of there. I don't know, there just seems to be a lot of Japanese guys fighting. I don't remember all of them, but most of them on the list are Japanese. And that's it. I definitely loved Chapter 43. It's my favorite one in a long time. And I just want to see what's going to happen. And those are my characters I want to possibly replace Buddha. I know we got from Brazil to the outer space, basically. And I just love it. I want any of these gods would be fine to replace Buddha in the tournament, but I just like to be Cthulhu. That's like my one that I like think it's the least likely, but I'd be like, holy shit, I predicted that. And that's it. This is Web Manga. I am Agent Manga. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.